It's about the time to talk it out.
Let's talk.
It's time to talk it out. It's time to talk it out.
Let's talk.
You know it's time to talk it out.
All right. And you are now tuned in to another exciting episode of Talk It Out. And I am your host, the host with the most, the one all the way from the Midwest of the United States, your boy, Chill. And as always, I have as my co-host the beautiful, the boss, and the clever Hugh. And boy, do I have a show for you today. The guest we have today is a man of many talents, a man who has made his name in the industry all over the world, but especially in the U.S., as one of the top ears in the business, and a man from Chicago that by no means is lazy, but yet works so hard. The man practically outworks me. Dig that. May I present to you CD.
Well, now that's an introduction. I surely hope I don't disappoint. Without a doubt. And you know what I always find fascinating about Chill? He's so hyped, but his name is Chill. How'd that work?
Well, I appreciate you, CD. I appreciate.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate having an opportunity, you guys, to get me on the show. When you called, I had to do it. You know, I don't really do interview type stuff because I don't feel like I'm that interesting, quite honestly. But I was flattered that you thought so. So I wanted to, come in, grace the point.
Oh man, you are so humble, so humble. So CD. Mm-hmm. Tell the people where you're from, what do you do, all of that good stuff.
What do I do? Well, my name is Christopher Denson. Everybody calls me CD. I am born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Love the city, love everything about Chicago other than some of the senseless violence that goes on. But, there's a lot more to my city than just that. I've traveled quite a bit, though. My background is arts and entertainment. And some media, extensive media. My family also publishes a newspaper called the Windy City Word of 30 plus years is the anniversary coming up. I have a label. Well, I have a distribution situation with Prodigy / Sony Orchard. So, I dabble in the music. I work with 8 or 9 Grammy Award winners, vocal production. I work with artists from Malik Youssef from Kanye West to Ramsey Lewis and Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. Just wearing a lot of hats. I think that the best way to that I describe myself is just as a creative, because when I came in, vocal is my principal instrument. Okay, so I was a singer by nature and by trade, I suppose. But what I found, the more I dabbled in and got involved in music, I realized that creativity transcends beyond just the studio into all aspects of my life. And so when I got into business, it started to, make itself evident in the different type of things that I was, putting together and the connections that I was making. So if I'm not rambling, I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Mm-hmm. So for those that may not be familiar, how long have you been in the business again?
Well, I started playing drums at 5, but we probably shouldn't go back that far. I think my very first professional gig where I actually got a check was me singing for the Archdiocese of Chicago for the Cardinal. I think it was Cardinal Bernardine was one of the Cardinals. I was younger. And I remember they sent me a check and my mother was like, wow. So I had to bid about 13, 14, 15 up in there. So that's kind of when I really started traveling down the music road professionally of sorts.
So what inspired you? Tell us about some of your inspirations and, inspired you to become the household legend that you are today.
Oh, stop it. I'm working on that though. That will actually be true very soon. Well, in my household, I'm a legend for sure. My sons love me. They're 1 and 3. They don't know any better, and they're my daughter in college. But I would say that just really not being afraid to take chances and put on different hats and get involved in different aspects of creativity really was the key to a lot of the things that I've been able to do, because on the surface it would seem crazy, but then I tell people all the time, when you have a vision, don't always expect for other people to validate it, because God gave you the vision. It may be totally ridiculous to someone else, but God didn't give the vision to someone else. He gave it to you. So, it's interesting because when I really got, I think, serious about music and religion, I kind of want to do this. I originally went to Providence St. Mel High School in Chicago, which is a private high school. And a gentleman by the name of Tony Lorenz, who was the late great Albert King's music director, ended up being my music instructor. Okay. So I remember, I always kind of thought I could sing. And one day there was a talent show, and Mr. Lorenz was like, "Boy, you can sing," and literally pushed me out on the stage. Like, he literally pushed me out on the stage. And he got on the piano, and I played second in that talent show. And so, yeah, it's interesting. So since then, having a blues man like Tony Lorenz mentor me, I've always had a leaning toward the blues a little bit, right? So that was kind of like my foundation. So I went to Providence St. Mel with Mr. Lorenz for 2 years in Chicago. And then Providence St. Mel is a very disciplined, heavy, academically oriented school. Great. I mean, I'm talking about, if you want a child to succeed, you send them to Providence St. Mel. They've got a real chance of succeeding in life. And my parents knew that. But for me, I was so much of a creative that I needed a different outlet. So I literally picked up the phone book one day, right? And I was like, And I saw something that said the Chicago Academy for the Arts. And I'm doing all this. I called, I set up an audition to go get into the school. My mom initially thought I was going for like a summer school session, but it actually ended up being for admittance into the school. I got accepted, which was great news for me, bad news for her, because it was like 20 grand or some ridiculous amount of money a year to go to school. And that was in 80 something. So for her, it was right. But I'm gonna tell you, and that's why I'm big on education and resources, because a lot of the very same people that I met then are some of the people that I talk to and communicate and learn from to this day. Some of my alma mater are people like Laura Flynn Boyle. She played in Men in Black and The Practice. Then Layla Hathaway graduated from the Chicago Academy for the Arts. We know who Layla is. Her younger sister Kenya Hathaway, who was an absolute monster, vocally and just musically. And then I went to school with what turned out to be a life-changing meeting with Bobby Lewis, who is the son of jazz pianist legend Ramsey Lewis. So for me, coming from the west side of Chicago, all I ever wanted to do, I love music, but all I saw was hustlers and dope dealers. And, from on that side, in the streets, my mom was always a strong role model. But when I met Bobby and I started to hang out with Bob, it allowed me to see things in the industry at a very young age because of who his father was. And Ramsey ended up kind of taking me under his wing. And I remember I remember opening up for Ramsey when I was like 15 years old with our band, and just these different opportunities and people that I'd be able to meet from the relationship with Ramsey. I can't even say enough how he's been an invaluable resource. So in meeting Bob and getting in lined up with the Lewis family, I mean, we still do things to this day. And that was my real segue to where I think it elevated from something that I was like thinking about to where it was like, okay, well, this could actually happen because I know somebody now that's he's got Grammys. So for there, and I always cherished that relationship because they're family, So it was never about taking advantage of it, but I was so appreciative of the fact that they brought me in because they didn't have to. This kid from the west side of Chicago, and I just honor Ramsey Lewis to the fullest, man. Really.
Now, just so that we're clear, by them being overseas in Canada, things of that nature, Hugh, I know you play the instruments and stuff like that. Are you familiar with who Ramsey Lewis is?
I'm really starting to hate when you ask me these questions, Will.
I think I missed something.
We got a different cultural thing going on here in Canada, right?
Look, I'm sorry I'm doing it on the air all the time.
I'm just glad Despair's not here.
Well, that look.
But I get it. I shouldn't assume that everybody know Ram, but Ramsey Lewis is DeBalls knows. Okay, yeah. Well, Ramsey has recorded 60 albums, won 3 Grammys, 60 albums, and has been playing the piano for 81 years. He started when he was 4. He's 85 years old now. And
he's one of the biggest living legends out today.
Yeah, bona fide. And let me tell you, and I won't get into it too much, but if you want to know, I do a podcast as well called Peep Game with Christopher Denson. And I just did an interview with Ramsey Lewis, and he talks about, you guys are familiar with Maurice White and Earth, Wind, and Fire, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, Maurice White actually started as Ramsey Lewis's drummer.
Oh.
A lot of people don't realize that. And he was very quiet, very quiet. And then from there, he was telling Ramsey, I got this idea. I'm going to have lights and spaceships, and we're going to wear these outfits. And Ramsey was like, okay. And it turned out that he looked on TV one day and he had done it. So I won't tell you the whole background with that, but Maurice White and Ramsey, Ramsey's been very influential and touched a lot of people over the years, man. After being in the industry for, like I said, he's been playing the piano for 80 years. So that's the nutshell of who Ramsey Lewis is and what he's meant to this music game.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear, and that even our viewers over in the Caribbean, they may not be familiar.
Check this out. You remember that? You've heard this song. Way-oh, way-oh, ba-ba, way-oh, way-oh.
She's looking at Hugh like, Hugh.
You ever heard that?
I really don't know that song.
I'm gonna send you the link to my podcast, Peep Game with Christopher.
Maybe if I hear the actual recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my voice probably doesn't do it justice. But yeah, hopefully so.
I'm gonna stop asking you questions, Hugh. I'm gonna stop doing it. I promise you, I'm gonna stop. But I'm going to start asking the boss because she seems to know more.
Yeah. But I want to ask CD, we talk a little bit off air that you've been to Canada. You're one of the few people that Will's brought on that actually been to Toronto and you said Montreal. You said you had a ball.
Oh, I had a ball. And let me tell you, people in Montreal take a party to another level, though. Like, I can't even bug with them. I mean, the club, we threw a party for, we were doing a clothing line called Bezeled Out. My partner, Greg Hildebrand, who's a designer and just a hell of a designer and creative. He's doing things to this day. But we had a Bezeled Out clothing line. We were doing a party there. And the club didn't close at 11 o'clock the next day, right? I'm like, how'd that work? So for me, I couldn't hang. And I was much younger then. But that was my Canada story, and I remember they had some of the most beautiful women and beautiful people in Montreal. It's like a melting pot. I really had a good time in Canada. I didn't like the food that much, but I didn't get to explore only one restaurant, and so I don't remember so long. I was in Montreal.
What did you have? Well, I'll tell you because I lived in Montreal.
I was in an Italian restaurant that we went to.
How much? What'd you get?
It was an Italian restaurant that we went to. It was years ago. I don't remember. Oh. But I remember thinking to myself when I was there, like, I'm sorry?
Did you bring your own wine or beer to it?
Did I bring what?
Your own wine or beer.
No, it was all drinks. Everything was there.
Okay.
Yeah, Montreal. They'll let you bring your own wine. But you can't do that in Toronto. Like, Toronto's very different.
I don't know. They should though.
Well, yeah, they should.
Yeah, and then in Toronto, what did I go to Toronto? I think we stopped in Toronto because my partner's brother lives in Toronto. So she was like, well, we're going to go to Montreal. We're going to stop and see my brother in Toronto. So there it is. We're in Toronto. Just that haphazard.
Well, you have a reason to come back. You can stop and see us here.
Indeed. Love Canada.
And bring your band because we got a performance stage right here in the studio.
All right. I like that. You know, okay, I might take you up on that one day.
Now,
And hold on, Will. I know that you want to say something, but you know what? You just got to be quiet for 1 minute.
I'm sorry. I was on my show.
I want to ask CD about his T-shirt that he has on there. And he got
Oh, yeah. That's my grassroots T-shirt from the music seminar that Mr. Will gave. He had me speak on a music panel thing that he does periodically called the Grassroots Music Seminar that kind of gives some guidance to young up-and-coming artists and a networking opportunity to connect artists with DJs and understand how their relationship works and getting them some understanding as to how to move their career forward in the industry. You know, dropping jewels on them. Yeah, that's what Will is known for, without a doubt.
So, but you were saying one thing, CD. You were saying something when you wear your clothes, nobody knows if you have pants on.
Well, the thing about it is the shirt. Yeah, I love my shirt, but you know, I may have pants on. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
We might not either.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not standing up though.
Oh.
How about that?
Say to that one, Will.
Okay, so
This episode been brought to you by.
this episode is brought to you by Mobbed Up Water. That had to be a moment. Hey, hydrate. Don't forget about it.
Mobbed Up.
All right. So, CD, tell us a little bit about some of your inspirations and things that got you going, though.
Well, the reason why I brought up that Ramsey Lewis thing is because through Ramsey, I was able to meet cats like Maurice White and Omar Hakeem, the drummer at World Renown, and Philip Bailey. Like, I remember the first time I met Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind & Fire. I had to tell him, like, it's funny how things come full circle. Because I remember being a young kid listening to that record, Fantasy, by Earth, Wind & Fire. And I had to tell him that until I heard that record, I didn't know I was allowed to do that stuff vocally. Like, he gave me permission to be able to do those things. My mind hadn't grasped that I could go crazy like that. Like, he is just a true master at what he does. So through Ramsey, just meeting these people and becoming real, I just wanted to learn more. And once I realized I don't know nothing, you know, you just sit back and you learn. And then his sons were all involved in the music industry, you know, and they just taught me so much, man. Just taught me so much. And, you know, I always wanted to just make my mark. It wasn't so much about the money. I just want to be an individual like all creatives, but I want to be able to make my mark and mean something to somebody's life at the end of the day, man. Like, just like right now I'm talking about Rams and what he's meant to me. I hope somebody might feel a little bit like that about me one day. So well, he helped me, you know, and that inspires me, man. You know, I keep it simple, right? Just like that. My kids inspire me. My God inspires me. You inspired me. You know what I'm saying? Well, what you doing? I mean, I think people can find inspiration from a lot of places if they're looking for it, you know?
Yeah. So tell us now about the name of your label and where you got it from and things of that nature.
Okay. Well, Jablu Hop Music Enterprises. Jablu Hop is a combination of jazz, blues, and hip hop music fused together. Okay, and that's where I get the name Jablu Hop from. I debuted the genre of music, which was the new genre. I debuted it at the Lyric Opera House in 2008, I believe it was, in Chicago. And from then, I developed the Jablu Hop Music Enterprises label, which is distributed by Sony Orchard, and to give other people an opportunity. But I think that it was important to show with Jablu Hop how jazz, blues, and hip hop music are all connected. I would notice, like, beyond just the music, but like in the fashion, you see these young people now, they act like they invented wingtip shoes. Well, Muddy Waters was wearing wingtip shoes a long, long time ago, you know? And just connecting how the culture really connects. Like, if you look at my stage performance, you'll kind of see that the jazz, blues, and the great hip hop and the eras merged together. I got the dancers in the 1920s flapper dresses going, you know, to kind of represent the jazz era. You know, we got the clean blues man suits on. I got the live DJ playing, you know what I mean? But I got the live band going too, because we true to the music. So it's a lot of these elements that are going to kind of create the Jablu Hop sound. And I don't want to bore you with music theory, but believe me, Jablu Hop music is based and founded in music theory as well. But I'm not going to go there right now. Well, but so that's kind of the whole start of Jablu Hop, and I just kind of stuck with it because it just hit me, you know. And
that's where I want to go. I want to jump into that topic, but since you don't really want to, but
well, we can if you like.
Well, okay. Well, since you're talking about theory, jazz, blues, and hip hop, what do you think the next musical genre is going to be? And where's it? You know, where does that come from? Where does the next genre come from?
Well, the genre will come from something that's already created, that exists now. That's typically how it works. Something stems from something. Someone will get inspiration, and you know, acid trap house. Now you got acid trap. So I mean, but it's the same concept though. Jablu Hop, it's only these things merging together. So even Jablu Hop, I like to say that I created a new genre of music, but I took 3 genres and created a new sound, but from classic genres that were all there. So I don't think that there'll actually be so much of a new genre per se. Is what I think is happening is that younger people are transitioning more to real music and some of the great music that's already there, slowly but surely. I think that they're starting to discover those, you know, the James Browns and the Isaac Hayes, like when they're exposed to that. So I don't know, it would take a greater mind than my own to kind of figure out where music is going to go next. I mean, you just never know. It's so organic, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just never know.
So
like, even with this, like, who would have thought Chief Keef and that whole thing, you know? That's when I knew I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. Hey, and shout out Uncle Ro. He's a good friend of mine. I knew Ro long before he, you know, helped Keith get his deal. And he's just a generally good guy, you know. And I respect him for what they did, because I respect anybody that's trying to better their life and take their family out the hood and try to change something for the better. You know, they don't have all the answers. A lot of times they don't have the tools at the time. But if, you know, with a little bit of grace in time, you know, they get it and they keep doing it and they do better. That's what happened in my life, you know.
Well, what is the biggest lesson you've learned in this business, CD?
The biggest lesson that I've learned in this business? I've learned so many, Chill. But I would say cherish your relationships. Cherish and value your relationships and don't take them for granted. Because I think many times, since it's entertainment, the business of entertainment, it's still the business of entertainment. And I think, unlike consumers that look at us and look at what we do and it's fun and and it's exciting, but it's still work. So we can't treat our relationships just like it's fun. So I'm very delicate about calling in favors. I don't like that's one of the things I was stressing with the Ramsey Lewis relationship. Like, I don't call Ramsey for just anything. Like, I cherish that relationship. So when I called and asked him, hey, would you be a guest on my podcast? It was important. And I use that same sentiment about my voice, as you know, on social media. When you use it all day, it waters it down. You know, I don't use it like that. When I say something, I want people to pay attention to it. So those are the lessons that I learned. Like, when you say something, try to make it mean something, and try to help somebody, you know, for the better, man. And networking and I'm telling you, man, a billionaire told me, talk to everybody because it costs you nothing. And that was some of the most valuable advice that I could have gotten, because even growing up in Chicago, it's an interesting culture, you know, because even in the drug subculture in Chicago, you know, you could be talking to somebody that don't look like nothing, but could have the resources to change your life. And I think that that's a big thing about the industry in general, because I may not be, Jimmy Iovine. I may not be, you know, the head of Interscope or these labels, but if I like your stuff, you can meet them. Believe that. And so people don't understand how the industry really works. You know, they don't. They look at someone and you can't judge a book by its cover, because usually the person that's out there talking about what they can do can't do nothing. You know. Yeah. And people have this thing, especially in Chicago, since there's not enough industry to sustain the level of talent that's here. I think people have a misconception of what real is and what real industry connections are. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there's not enough examples of it. You know, people say, "Oh, you always have to leave Chicago." Well, I mean, I'm still in Chicago. I've traveled, and I don't have a problem with artists leaving Chicago, because the thing about Chicago, and I love it, culturally rich city. But as far as having an industry to support all of the talent here, I think that's an area where we struggle. I like when you go to Nashville, Tennessee, for instance. I was in Nashville last year for a music conference, and you go down strips, and there's blocks and blocks of places, right? And you go inside, and there's a live band playing on the stage, right? Then you go to the second floor. There's another live band playing on the stage. Then you go to the third floor. There's another live band playing. Then you go to the rooftop. There's another live band playing. So for me, a world-class music city has to have a place for their world-class musicians to thrive and to perform and to actually get down and do their thing, right? And I think Chicago, a lot of times, because of the gang culture, they're so scary, you know, as far as letting people just, you know, do events, and you know, it just gets a little weird for me, man. Yeah.
So that's good. So what you're saying is that it's because of that gang culture, whatever. People are afraid to go out. People are afraid to open up a club like that where they could have.
Well, it's political. I mean, you got to understand that. I mean, right now, Lori Lightfoot got enough problems on her hand to have to deal with some foolishness at the nightclub with somebody, you know, getting hurt, you know, in the midst of COVID. So I understand it. Like when you start infusing alcohol in young people, and you know, then you have that, and it's not the majority, but it only takes one food. Yeah. So I think that unfortunately, Chicago just kind of got away from it, that stuff a little too much. Instead of encouraging places. Like we have one-offs. We got Kingston Mines. We got Buddy Guys, Legends. But like I said, when we were in Nashville, Tennessee, you got blocks and blocks of these places, and you go inside, and it's a band playing on every floor for the next 3 blocks. We don't have that in Chicago. And that's my example of how you have to have an industry in order to support the level of music, because it's some major talent has come out of Chicago. From R. Kelly, my man Kevin Randolph, Ramsey Lewis. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, you know. But until you get connected to the mainstream industry, I think it hinders these guys. And I'm gonna say one more thing on that point, because I know I'm getting long-winded. I think the young artists, they think they working, but until you go to LA and you see cats like Cosign and the Interns and those cats $1,500 a night, and they're in the studio and they're not leaving. Because Mary J. Blige on her way, and she picking tracks for her new album. We're not going on, because she going to. It's 4 studios in this building, and she finna go to each one, and they're competitive. Like the level of work that they're really working at, I don't think cats in Chicago get a chance to see it. So they think they working when really not so much. Just keeping it real, and then it take a cat like me to I'm just a regular old Midwest dude. They in their mind, their success in their mind didn't come from somebody that looked like me. But guess what? That's how it works. Yeah. It's because of real relationships with regular people with real relationships. Chill can contact anybody. I can contact anybody. Usually within 1 or 2 phone calls. But I'm not gonna do it if I ain't talking about nothing, because that's what I'm saying. Your network is a valuable thing. And you ain't got but one time to send some BS to somebody, and they ain't gonna be answering your call no more.
That's right.
For real. So, you know, that's the thing.
But I want to ask something, because when you said, you know, because a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I've been in the studio." I don't know if they think that's some kind of, you know, a big up thing. Oh, I went to the studio. I was there all night. Yeah, but what were you doing all night?
Well, I'll tell you like this. I don't even allow people in my studio. If you don't have a budget, I don't want you in there with your entourage smoking blunts and drinking 40s with your feet on my granite top, and you ain't sold nan record. You know, like believe me, when Drake and those cats are going in the studio, and Lil Wayne and Kanye and these cats, they not there for that. You can drink and smoke everywhere else on the planet. Why would you go spend $100, $200 an hour to do it? It makes no sense. It's because they have this thing in their mind of what it looks like versus an understanding of what it actually is. For real.
Right. So
you gotta have examples of success.
So people actually bring their entourage and all that into the studio?
Yeah, because for them, they want to be famous on social media. They want to take pictures and we're in the studio and it's cool, but no, it's really not. You know, it's really not.
Yeah, you're there to work.
Yeah, I mean, you're there to work. When you come to the studio, you don't spend $100 an hour to party. You can do that for free when you leave the studio. Focus. Like, you're here to focus. You know, and I think, like I said, you get these music videos of cats in the studio, but when you actually go to the studio and see Ye and these cats really working, it ain't that. They ain't in there turning up like that. They very serious.
Yeah. So, in all, what advice do you have for the upcoming hungry artists out here trying to make it?
Talk to everybody. Humble yourself. Don't be afraid to not know. You don't have to know everything. I don't know nothing. Don't be afraid to fail. Because I've learned more from my failures than my successes. You know, when you succeed, that don't teach you nothing. That means if I'd have succeeded in the music game the very first time, I'd be a dog jerk. Because where's the humility in that? You know, I was about to say I'd be a Donald Trump, but I caught myself. But you see, like, when you don't have to work for something, oh, my dad gave me $1 million, small loan of $1 million. Okay. But when you don't, it breeds a certain thing. Orange Juice Jones, I just interviewed him on my podcast, Cheap Plug, Deep Game with Chris Denson podcast. But he was talking about how when he made it with his classic, quote unquote, one-hit wonder, Walking in the Rain, it happened so fast that he wasn't equipped to deal with the level of success that he had. Because it literally just happened. It was him and his boys, and they was like, okay, here we go. And it just happened so fast, and he was ill-equipped. But now he's got children that are in the industry, and he's able to guide them back.
Now, you know who Orange Juice Jones is, right here. Okay, good, because I'm going to have him on pretty soon.
Oh, he's something else, man. He's an interview for you. You got to get on. I don't think he really knows.
Have him on. We are all actually good friends.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, okay.
And advice also one more thing: network with musicians and be serious about what you're doing. Yeah. Be serious about what you're doing and take it seriously, because the entertainment game is the only game that you're gonna get out of it what you did. You know, and don't take people for granted. You can learn something from anybody.
That's right.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm gonna ask the standard crazy question.
Okay.
That is making Talk It Out the hit sensation of the world, right? It is the question that people gag at when I ask them. Okay. But keep in mind, you are on international TV, so it is censored. As you can see, even the boss braced you like, okay, hold on, he's about to. And that question is, what is the craziest moment that you have had, whether it's in the studio or on stage? What is the absolute wildest moment that you've seen or have personally experienced?
Oh, man. The wildest moment?
Now, you see how you just sat up?
I don't like to peel scabs off of old wounds.
Hey, that's why we talk it out.
Yeah. Craziest thing probably. I remember one time, man, and I love Wu-Tang, and it bothered me that we had this altercation. But years ago, once again, Bezel, we sponsored one of their shows, and you know they were supposed to do certain things, and we, you know, they didn't hold up their part of the bargain, so we kind of had a small altercation, and it got a little crazy on stage while they were performing. But I won't go into detail, but that was probably one of the craziest things because they looked up, right? And they had kind of felt a little bit safer than they really were because they on stage. Well, they looked up and we on stage too. We ain't got no backstage passes, bro. it was with Ghostface and Raekwon. It was the whole crew. But you know, it's Chicago ego. You know, but showing flex. You in my city, I don't need a pass. Type of just But we talked it out, and you know, we turned out. We talked it out. It turned out it was just a misunderstanding. You know, they didn't quite understand it. They were supposed to, actually wear the gear. So we talked it out, and they showed me love because remember TRL in the basement?
Yeah.
They got on that show and wore bezeled out clothing. So that was much more exposure than I could have afforded at the time. So that's what I bring this up because had I been typical and take it to an altercation on a violent level or just everybody just want to be tough, we got enough tough cats. We got a lack of wealthy cats, as black men. So we ain't got no shortage of tough cats. So for me, I'm glad that we talked because the way that it worked out was way better than, okay, what did this tear up the place? What did that get? I don't want people to be afraid of me because I'm not a scary person. So I want to be able to, you saw how that got you tonight. He had more money than anybody. And I eat in jail with no money. I don't want to go down that path. One of my mentors was out there working with those cats, in the death row days, man. I ain't going down there messing with them because from Chicago, I knew it wasn't a game.
Yeah.
I knew that type of environment wasn't a game. So I don't get involved with that hill. I'm going to go down there and get involved with it. No, I'm cool. And I was invited many times. I sent some friends down there. They asked me stuff, but I'm just not for the foolishness, man. I like living.
So as we're winding things down or what have you, tell the listeners your social medias, all of that good stuff, or if you have like any type of projects that you have coming up that you want them to know about, or where they can find you.
All right, I'll tell you this. Now, this is actually the announcement. It's not even out yet, but I do have a Sirius satellite radio show starting on XM HBCU 142, starting on October 30th, and the show is called, once again, Peep Game with Christopher Denson. So that's my actual satellite radio show, XM 142. And it also lives as a podcast called Peep Game with Christopher Denson. And you can access it on any of your podcast stations, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, any of those places. So that's what I'm really getting into, is really expanding my media base. WindyCityWord.com is where all the stuff lives. And so that's kind of really where I'm going more into. And then my Jablu Hop Sony distribution arm is doing pretty well too. I got an artist by the name of Scoot, SQOOT.
Who we had on the show.
Yeah. Scoot and done like,
you know how to spell it.
Right. Scoot and done like 500,000 streams, in COVID. So it's still happening for people. It can be done, but you just have to, it was his network and taking it seriously and not being afraid to invest in yourself. Whatever it is, have a budget. It can be $10. Know your budget and work it properly.
And come see me and we'll take care of you.
For real. I mean, you got to take your time, man, and you got to be serious. You got to be serious about what you're doing and take your relationships seriously. Because like I said, by it being entertainment, there's so much fun and games that people don't take it seriously. Don't get caught up in the fun and games because what we do is fun, because it's business. I'm not here to like you. I'm glad I do, but that's not what I'm here for. We're here to do business, because that's what ultimately is going to send my kids to college.
So where can we find you on social media, and if people want to hook up with you, contact you, your email, stuff like that?
You can hit me up at Chris Denson Shy, ChrisDenson, CHI, Chris Denson Shy is my Instagram. You can like my Facebook page. What I got over there, my Jablu Hop Future Classic Radio, because I've got my radio show. And I want to thank Chill too, because I got to give props where props is due. I was kind of looking what I want to do next, and Chill started getting me into radio and multimedia, and I really segued into it, and I've been having some pretty decent success in that scope with my Jablu Hop Future Classic Radio. You can download the app, JAB as in boy, LUEHOP, Jablu Hop Future Classic Radio app, Google Play Store, Apple App Store, to listen to music. And the unique thing about my radio station too is, even though it takes a lot of time, as a parent, I like to turn up in the car, right? But I can't listen to the cuss words with my 3-year-old and 1-year-old. I'm not trying to do that. So I literally go through all the songs that I play and edit out all the cussing, so that you can be at your desk at work and still kind of turn up, but without offending anybody. You're an Uber driver, download my radio station. You can play, you still have some energetic music without offending anybody. I can ride in the car with my kids and still listen to Rick Ross, and not be teaching my kids, words that they're gonna learn in time. I just don't need them to learn from me today. So Jablu Hop Future Classic Radio, the Peep Game, PEEP Game podcast, WindyCityWord.com. Those are like my things, man. Shout out to Mary Datcher, my media partner, from Global Mix, and HBCU XM, HBCU Go TV, XM 142, Come Clean Empire, and I mean, those are just the things that I'm doing, and looking to network and do more. Hit me up on Facebook, Christopher Denson. Just Christopher Denson on Facebook. Hit me up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, hey, Chris, I really appreciate you coming down. You have any shout outs for anybody out there?
Other than yourself, Urban Grind TV, Mary Datcher, Ramsey Lewis, Frame Lewis, Bobby Lewis, Kelly Lewis, R.I.P. Kevin Lewis, R.I.P. Ramsey Lewis III. Man, other than that, man, my mom, I'm blessed that my mom is in good health, and my family, man, just in a good place, man. It's not, it hasn't always been a cakewalk, but I'm still walking, and I'm cool with that. Yeah, I'm cool with that, man. I appreciate you guys, and shout out to you guys, because I appreciate you guys having me on. I mean, I know we're limited for time, boy, but I got some stories for you. Maybe we'll do a off-camera interview.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm really a lot more uncut than the persona, but that's because I believe that you have to have class with what you do, and I think there's a lot of things that's missing. Like, you have to have class and dignity in things that you do, even when you're acting a fool. Some people ain't gonna understand nothing but ignorance, and it happens. But for the most part, if they allow me another route, I'll take that route. But if I bump into those ones that's the route they want to go down, I got all that for you too. All that. All the smoke. All the smoke. But that's not the wise thing to do. I would have to be forced into that. Like, that's what I want people to understand. Stop making that your first resort. If you're not in harm's way of somebody trying to do something to you, get off the guns and violence. Talk, because that's where your ultimate success is, through communication and understanding. For real. Orange Juice Jones told me something so clear. He said the world too round to choose sides, and that's real.
Wow, the world's too round to choose sides.
Player. For real.
Ooh, that sounds like some Orange Juice was saying.
Hey man, when he said, I was like, boy, I swear, you just need to stop, man.
I'm gonna put on Facebook.
Man, come on. Yeah,
I gotta stop. I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, wait. Artist, B Lily. That's my man. We got some stuff coming out with B Lily. Got a strong project coming out with him. Candy Irene. A new guy we got named Ridgeway Tales. Me and Chill gonna start working with. Scoot. Baby Joe, a little young Italian cat doing his thing. Representing the Italian cats. We got Dane Dilla looking like it. Check him up. Just Google Jablu Hop Music Enterprises, and you'll get a chance to see, some of the projects that we're working on, and keep up with me.
Awesome. The boss or Hugh, do you have any last minute questions or anything?
No.
Awesome.
All right, when I come back to Canada, I need y'all to take me to get some real food, though.
Okay, we will. I'm gonna cook something too.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. I like that. We can't go wrong now.
Well, maybe I'll just go and rent out like one of them huge buses and we just I get all the guests that have come on the show, and we just take a trip down to Canada.
And we got to be
some of y'all get plugged out, man. I'd have seen them. We might have the same incident when they sent the DJ back. You better watch them. You better be a background check, boy. That's a long way to go. Be dropped off at the border.
Right.
For real.
Oh,
I
man.
can see you right now. Be like, well, we gonna keep going, but I'll call you an Uber or something. Let's go.
Well, hey, it's been great interviewing you, CD, man, as always. Hey, stay tuned for tomorrow for the next great episode of Talk It Out, where we bring every industry to your doorstep, give you the insight of everything going on. And hey, from Jablew Up CD, aka Christopher Denson, the boss, and Hugh and myself, Chill. Have a beautiful and blessed day. And remember, when you're sitting at that kitchen table tonight, talk it out.
It's about the time to talk it out. Let's talk. It's time to talk it out. It's time to talk it out. Let's talk it out. You know it's time to talk it